As night began to cast its shadow over the horizon during our road trip, my partner and I found ourselves searching for a place to rest. The long stretches of highway had taken their toll, and the bright neon lights of a seemingly deserted motel beckoned us to take shelter. The motel stood like a relic from another time, its faded sign creaking in the wind. The parking lot was eerily empty, and the only sound that accompanied us was the faint rustling of leaves in the night breeze. With trepidation, we stepped inside, hoping to find some respite from our journey. The interior was dimly lit, casting long shadows that seemed to dance on the walls. The air was thick with a musty scent, a sign of the building's age and lack of recent visitors. The worn carpet beneath our feet seemed to swallow our footsteps as we made our way to the front desk. An enigmatic figure appeared from behind the desk, their features obscured by the dim light. They greeted us with a strange smile, one that didn't quite reach their eyes. Their voice was soft and low, carrying an air of mystery that sent shivers down my spine. As we checked in, the figure's behavior became increasingly odd. They spoke in cryptic phrases, hinting at things beyond our comprehension. Their gaze seemed to linger on us for a beat too long, making me feel as though they were searching for something hidden beneath the surface. Unease settled in my stomach like a heavy stone, and I exchanged a knowing glance with my partner. We both felt it. Something was off about this place and the enigmatic figure who ran it. But with no other options in sight, we decided to stay for the night and leave first thing in the morning. As we made our way to our room, the creaking floorboards echoed in the silence, amplifying the eerie atmosphere. The room itself was small and dimly lit, with a flickering bulb that cast dancing shadows on the walls. The rustling of curtains in the breeze created an unsettling melody that seemed to echo through the night. Sleep evaded us, and every sound outside our room sent our hearts racing. The night felt interminable, as if time itself had slowed down. It was during those endless hours that we realized we were not alone in the motel. From the thin walls we could hear muffled voices, hushed whispers that carried an air of secrecy. The enigmatic figure seemed to be meeting with someone else, and their conversation was filled with ominous undertones. We strained to catch every word, but the whispers were like fleeting ghosts, vanishing before we could grasp their meaning. Fear clutched at our hearts, and we knew we had to leave. With each passing minute, the feeling of being trapped in a nightmare intensified. We made a silent pact to escape at the first light of dawn, leaving behind the enigmatic figure and the secrets they held. As the first rays of sunlight painted the sky, we wasted no time in gathering our belongings. The motel felt different in the daylight, less haunting, yet still filled with an inexplicable aura. We checked out with a sense of urgency, eager to put distance between ourselves and that enigmatic figure. As we drove away, the motel faded into the rearview mirror, becoming a mere blip on our journey. As I embarked on a road trip, my excitement was palpable, but a sense of adventure tinged with caution simmered beneath the surface. The open road stretched before me like an invitation to explore the unknown. The sun's warm embrace was a comforting companion as I ventured into the heart of the countryside. As the miles rolled by, the landscape gradually transformed from bustling towns to vast fields and rolling hills. The signs of civilization began to wane, and I found myself surrounded by nature's untamed beauty. It was in this remote and secluded setting that I chanced upon a gas station, like a lone outpost in the wilderness. As I pulled up to the gas station, I couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. The place seemed eerily quiet, with no other vehicles in sight. I cast a cautious glance around, half expecting to see tumbleweeds drifting by in the breeze. My instincts urged me to leave and find another stop, but my fuel gauge was approaching empty, and I knew the next gas station could be miles away. Reluctantly, I decided to proceed, hoping my gut feeling was just a product of an overactive imagination. I stepped out of my car and felt the sudden chill of the air, which seemed colder than I had anticipated. The gas station appeared weathered and worn, as if it had been standing there for decades, forgotten by the passage of time. Then, I saw them, a lone figure standing by the gas pumps, their back turned to me. The hair on the back of my neck stood on end as I felt their eyes on me, though they hadn't turned around to face me yet. An involuntary shiver ran down my spine, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was not quite right. With a deep breath, I mustered my courage and approached the stranger. As I got closer, their presence felt even more unsettling. They wore tattered clothes that seemed out of place, even for a remote gas station. Their hair was disheveled, and their posture seemed tense, as if they were ready to pounce at any moment. When they finally turned to face me, their eyes were like a window to an abyss, dark and mysterious, holding secrets I couldn't fathom. The stranger's gaze locked onto mine with an intensity that made my heart race. An uneasy silence settled between us, broken only by the distant sound of the wind whistling through the surrounding trees. The stranger broke the silence with a voice that sent a shiver down my spine. They spoke with an urgency, claiming they needed urgent help and that they were stranded, desperate for money to get back home. Their words sounded rehearsed, yet their eyes betrayed an intensity that suggested something more beneath the surface. My mind raced, trying to make sense of the situation. Was this person truly in need of help, or was there something more sinister at play? The remoteness of the gas station added to my vulnerability, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I had stumbled upon a dangerous situation. Instinct told me to stay cautious, so I politely declined, telling the stranger that I couldn't offer any assistance. As the words left my lips, I braced myself for their reaction. The stranger's expression contorted with anger and frustration, and I felt a chill run down my spine. A sense of relief washed over me as I hurried back to my car, their unsettling gaze following me until I was safely inside. As I drove away from the gas station, my heart still pounded in my chest. I couldn't help but wonder what might have happened if I had reacted differently. The encounter left me shaken, and I vowed to be more vigilant during the rest of my road trip. During a memorable road trip with my friends, we found ourselves amidst the tranquil beauty of nature, surrounded by dense woods and a sense of solitude that was both peaceful and eerie. As the sun dipped below the horizon, we decided it was time to find a secluded campground to rest for the night. We stumbled upon a hidden gem, a campground nestled deep within the woods, far away from the hustle and bustle of civilization. It seemed like the perfect spot to spend the night, and we set up our tents with enthusiasm, excited to enjoy the serenity of the wilderness. As the night descended, the darkness enveloped us, broken only by the flickering flames of our campfire. Amidst laughter and storytelling, we couldn't help but notice a group of individuals lingering at a distance. Their behavior was peculiar, to say the least, and a feeling of unease began to gnaw at our senses. They seemed to be talking to themselves, their voices rising and falling in erratic patterns. Their movements were disjointed and unpredictable, like marionettes controlled by invisible strings. It was as if we had stumbled upon a scene straight out of a psychological thriller. Feeling uneasy and increasingly threatened, we decided it would be best to leave the area. With cautious glances over our shoulders, we packed up our belongings and quietly slipped away into the night, hoping to put some distance between us and the enigmatic group. However, our relief was short-lived, as we soon realized that they had followed us. Panic set in as we tried to evade them, but their persistence was unsettling. It was evident that they had malevolent intentions, and our hearts pounded in our chests as we imagined the worst possible scenarios. In a desperate attempt to find safety, we stumbled upon another group of campers who were camping nearby. Desperation and fear etched on our faces, we pleaded for their help. Thankfully, they were kind-hearted and understanding, offering us refuge and protection from the menacing group that had been pursuing us. As we huddled together with our newfound protectors, we shared our harrowing encounter, and they assured us that they would stand guard through the night to ensure our safety. Their comforting presence helped to ease our fears, and we finally managed to find some semblance of rest in the midst of that dark and foreboding night. The next morning, as the sun rose, we gathered our belongings and quickly left the campground, still shaken by the night's events. Our road trip had taken a disturbing turn, and the experience left us with a lingering sense of vulnerability and caution. As we continued our road trip, we couldn't help but feel a deep sense of gratitude towards the strangers who had come to our rescue. Their act of kindness had not only saved us from a potential threat, but had also restored our faith in humanity.